Basically, I did it in Godot originally. However, then I wanted to add more into it and make it bigger and expand on it, which just meant that actually I would have to redesign the whole thing, and I wanted some way of having dialogue and create that whole system to have dialogue editors and stuff. And in the end I was like, I don't really know why I'd do all that if I've already got something. So that's, I've kind of built it up already now from ground up. The only bit that I need to do is wheel, and I want to do something on this. So this I was thinking of earlier. Basically I just need a grid system. I suppose realistically what I want to do is I don't really want to instantiate there, because what I want to do is, like, it's meant to be have like a roguelike element. So early on I want it to be 5, later on I'm wanting it to then change to not necessarily be 5. So my node index really needs to be dependent on what stage we're at. Obviously this is testing, so for the sake of this, I'm just going to put another note here. So what I don't want is I don't want it to like create a game object for each of them. So I'm just thinking, I suppose what I need to do is for each, let me just make some basic notes for this for later. For each row, randomly decide if node should be placed. Because this is kind of what I wanted to do, but the problem is that this is what I'm kind of worried about. Now I've instantiated it, I suppose it is going to have a 5x5 grid of objects. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to have my grid. So I'm thinking, right, this is now going to be created, yeah, this 5x5, and then, so what I need this to do is, this is going to be empty. All of this is going to exist, but it's going to equal null across all of it. So all of that's going to be null once it's created. Now it's instantiated, and then at that point, what I then need to do is to then get it to go into this row, and I go for each of these and just ask, do we want a node there? If we do, then it needs to fill. So that's what I want this to do. So that makes sense to me. I could be completely wrong. I've got nobody around to correct me. And so when in doubt with a potentially good or bad idea, give it a go, see how it goes. That's how I do everything. Hence this whole streaming whole streaming I'm doing right now. So what I'd basically want to do at that stage then is I therefore want to go and say, okay, for each row, I've now got it instantiated. I've now got a 5x5 grid. Just do a tab, look, make sure I know if this is like, this is how the other one works. Was it Python? It's all tabs. It's really good for that. So what we want here is we want it to go, say, do random calc to confirm if node to create. If not, continue, because we want to move it, continue to the next row, yep. If yes, yeah, and that's basically what I want. I want to then take a node and place it there. So we can create a list of nodes or prefabs. So I could also then get field serializable campaign node. Yeah. I mean, realistically, do I want them as campaign nodes? I think I don't. I think I want them as prefabs. So, but I can change that. I might just put that may need to be prefab / geos. What I'll also need to make sure is to position the node in the grid. Also need check to ensure at least one node is placed in each row. Yeah. So these are things that I need before I went there. And I think that's it, because the columns are kind of done. So for each row I then need to go through each column in the row. So that's what I need to do. So that's basically what I need to do with this. So I'll leave it there for now. I'm not going to worry about actually creating all of that yet, because the actual core game's not even functional. But I will save what I've got, because this is a very good starting point just to tell me in very basic terms what I'm actually wanting to do with that. I think it through first, and then I can start doing a bit more for that, and I think that will pretty much work. But I want to get this wheel working, because the wheel I've already got working is the one thing I keep putting off. I just basically what I want to do is I just want to get the core spinning and assignment done. I know how the wheel's going to spin and to make it spin, but what I also want to do is I want to customize the options on the wheel. And to do that, to do this, I will need to create objects with the correct fill and colour. So I do want a spin button. Rather than it just spin on its own, I actually want it to only spin. So that's just going to animate it to bring it in. Need to add the wheel functionality. So rather than run wheel here, what I want to do here really is connect that to a button specifically to run the wheel. I also, for testing purposes, I'm going to, so let's create a scriptable object for the deck as well. This is something that I did in another game that was actually really useful, specifically for testing, because I can create then custom packs, and based on those custom packs I could just plug in decks that I want to test with higher chances of stuff. Because here, this is your standard deck. This is pretty much what you want. But actually, as I'm wanting to do a roguelike, maybe you want to tweak the deck as you go and have maybe like different decks that specialise in different ways. I guess I'm taking a bit of Balatro kind of knowledge there and thinking. So let's go scripts, create C# and let's just say a scriptable object. But all I want in here is similar to how cards have this, which I want to change its code as well. I say just have a list of, we've got those, but they've just got a deck there. And this is all I want. That works also. So your deck template is going to go there. So what you really want to do then is add cards. You just want to go if template does not equal null, just so that way we don't accidentally do it. And then if it isn't, then we just want to go and add that to the deck. Deck template cards. Apple play. That should be cards, to be fair. That makes sense. There we go. Done. So you get the template. Template will pre-populate it, which means that I can make specific like decks. So like this is going to be standard, obviously. So scriptable objects. Right. Okay. So what I want to do with this, because realistically, what you really want is you want the player's deck to be moved over, I suppose. So really, I don't really want it linked to a scriptable object later down the line now. For now, I'll just leave it exactly how it is. But I suppose now I'm thinking about it, like really you want a deck that exists, obviously, is populated by a default set, and then that's like saved and kept. That makes sense to me. Presumably, actually, I really want that linked to the inventory. I'm not going to get into that at the minute, but that's another idea. This is exactly how things get out of control when I'm planning stuff. So, what I want for this is there's normally. Let's go back to that deck. Click on that. Let's just lock that, and let's just go on to the game object. So, standard deck has 2 jokers, and then it has one of each of these. So that's one. So that's one deck. And what I want then is a testing deck. If you've watched Distractible, which is what this is based off, when they played this game, aces and jokers were like special cards. So I don't want to put anything too much. I just want to fill it up with nothing but equal. Because then that'll bring the wheel on, which means then I can actually test the spin. So let's keep with that. On 52, I'll go up to 52. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, because then 2 are jokers anyway. I don't really want jokers. The game will automatically add jokers and aces to it regardless. So I just don't want to get too involved. So I'm just going to switch it now to 0. And let's just add testing matching. And then in theory, when this then loads, pretty much one of the first things it'll do is load the cards. And it won't crash. And I could be wrong, but there's only one way of knowing. Let's go back to this. So, I can now test, like just put testing in, just to make sure the wheel's spinning. And the way that it's spinning is organic. So what I mean by organic is I don't just want it to be, and you can do it where it's just a number generator, but I want the outcome to only show right towards the end of the wheel spin. And on top of that, I just want it to Yes, I don't want it to know the answer before the wheel spin's ended, but I also want it to make sure that it keeps spinning, and only when it's coming to an end is the answer there. This is the way that I personally want it to do. I want it to replicate what would happen in reality. So you've got these three. These are the options I want. This one definitely I want to serialize. So just because I actually want to change that, and I want to know what the changes are. These two I might want to do later. But it spun, and it was giving out the correct result. So, but it did require that for the adjusted rotation of the F position there. So, but for one, this presumably would need, because that worked based on rigid body, so presumably we have rigid body 2D. We also don't want we don't want to freeze rotation, because rotation we're wanting. We are wanting rotation. So let's set the button up let's close this. Set the button up first then. So when that goes, to be fair, what that's doing is saying higher or lower. That's what the other ones are doing. They're casting the ball whether you're saying higher or lower, basically. That's what they're doing. Which, for spin, I need that to basically be emitting to spin the wheel. But I think as long as it's going to show up, right, okay, I can get why I was a bit reluctant. I want that to run when called, and only when the game manager says so. So I don't want it to call outside of a signal to tell it to go. I think what we'd need to do is this, right? So, good idea. So we're going to require an int, and we're just going to call this PID. And save. So that shouldn't now work anywhere unless it's their turn for a start. So yeah, so that works from that point of view. So then what I then want to do I forgot about that. It's in the same script, but one's static, one's not, so that's not going to work. How I thought it was going to work. It can invoke something. Maybe invoke. Maybe I just get it to be here. So that's then gonna, yeah, and the actual script itself subscribes to that and tells us that that's what it wants to do at the start, which will therefore mean Then this can then run this wheel, and it should run as normal. The issue is next is it's not going to show up unless the wheel's declared. So. There is a point in which it does check if the values are equal. There, right there. So it's at this point I want a new signal because I want it to switch. Because it's at this point, this is where I want it. And really on the set, I want to do it when it says on set. Of course I do. Start. How? That is so unlucky. That's fine, okay. I should get the point for that. Oh, thank God. Okay. Two. Oh no, it's never me that's going to get the wheel. It's going to be the computer. I mean, there was another error. Oh, it's actually just going to absolutely freeze. And I can't do anything. I mean, it's good that it's frozen. Because this is where I needed it to be. To just stop at that point and not run the wheel. That's very unlucky. Very unlucky. It'd be really lucky if it was an actual, the actual game. But yeah, I need that not show up really. Because realistically, hold on. This doesn't show up. Which could be an issue actually, I've just realised. Because I don't know if that's going to show up when the wheel first shows up. Higher, lower, or higher. Disappears like it should. Gives me 2. That should go out. The wheel comes down. Yeah, I need to make it so that comes up. That then clicks that. That then gives me an awesome point because I've not got the wheel. And it should now end the round. And that should go. Start second round. Perfect. Bar the fact that this isn't also not disappeared. Because now I've got to set that up. So I need to do this. Another if. Just to help catch it, if button live.active self, just turn that off as well. Make sure that that's off at the points that it needs to be off. Make sure it's on when it needs to be on. So let's try that again. So let's play that. It's through. Play a turn. That's 2. Higher or lower, let's go for higher. Doesn't really matter, hopefully it's a 2. Because I actually don't want... Yes, cool. It now lets me spin. I now click spin. At the minute it's awarding me the 2 points without it spinning. Goes into the next stage. It's not turned it off though. Which is not what I want. I want that to turn off. if it's live, active self, so if that's true, then turn it off. I just need to do this outside, actually. It doesn't matter whether it's the player's turn or not, which is what it's doing. It's just like, I just realised it wasn't going there. So let's try this again. What it was doing there is it was literally like, obviously it's not my turn, so it's not turning off. It's not my turn. Well, I want it turned off. If it's live, I want it off at the start of a new round. I'm just going to reset that. I'm not even going to worry about the computer's spin, call yet until I know the rest of it's working. I want to keep it controlled. Higher. Last chance to intervene. It's neither high nor lower. Puts the point into the pool because technically it's neither. Allows me to now spin. 2, 1. Gives me 2 points. Goes next round, turns it off. Sweet. So that works, obviously. Oh wait, hold on a minute. That turned it on. Just maximize this. So I'm going to say higher this time. It's got 2, which is hopefully what I'm wanting at the minute. Gives me the wheel. I click spin. It's a match. It's going to grant me points. These points are not programmed up here either. Yeah. It goes. So declared that. Hopefully this is not king or anything. Yes, nice one. And my spin doesn't come up, it freezes. Spot on. That's what I expected it to do, which is what I mean by spot on. Obviously it's not spot on in other ways, so that's good. So that was relatively smooth. I have now can customise the deck as I need to for testing, which is good because that was one of the issues. I've got the basics of a node grid to work from. I've also got the mechanics of the wheel a bit better ironed out, so there's more control mechanisms to avoid it from overlapping, which is what I needed. And those control mechanisms that are now in place mean that it is cleaner as a result. So sweet. I mean, if I don't care about the outcome and I'm just wanting to do it for a start, you know what? I'm just curious what this is going to do. Because if that just does... That's just going to basically do most of what I want it... No! Don't give me kings! There's like so few kings in the deck at this point. Because I've designed it to mainly be 2s. Again, chances. King. Chances. Like, again, like, if I just... Let's just look at those cards, right? Look at that. It's like, what? 1, 2 kings? 2 kings, 2 jokers, maybe 2... There should be 2 aces in there as well. So, yeah. Yeah. Like, that's it. I can't see the second ace, though. No West. Oh, I've just seen it, yeah. Yeah, there's 2 aces, 2 kings, and 2 jokers. Right, spin. Now, I have that, haven't I? Didn't I just tell it to do the wheel bod? Of course I didn't. So, yeah, no, it was still nothing on the wheel. And to click higher or lower, whatever, not bothered. to, yeah. That comes down, click split. Now, I want that to decrease eventually. It's going on forever and ever. So I do want that to stop eventually. Nice, I've got a joker. I do want that to stop eventually. But that is how I do it. The wheel is spinning. It is not doing anything else. Oh. That is slowing though. So maybe I just need to adjust the strength. See, now I'm interested. Because like that went really fast at the start. But 100%, like that slowed right down by the end. I do wish I would get to that point a little quicker. I could reduce my timer. But I do kind of, I like to, the more I do it, the more I'll get an idea of pacing and whether or not I just need to like... Is that gonna stop? Still going. Just curious if it's actually going to stop or if it just keeps going. It does look like it is very slowly stopping. I really want it to speed up, slowing down. You know? Because it's around now that you... Oh, it does stop. It does fully stop. Okay. So I think I need to change some more settings on this. And that will change how it behaves when it starts spinning. Because 500 to 1000 I think is fine. It's the length of time that it takes to slow down. So I need a control mechanism to know when it started and stopping spinning, because that's what I had before. Like, I'm gonna drag needs to be higher, not lower. I'm not doing that. It's kings and aces. So I just don't want to take certain stuff out that was working exactly as it should. One thing I've learned is that I just don't want to touch stuff that I don't need to when I'm testing, because sometimes I'll mess with like multiple things and something just goes horrendously wrong. Oh, I feel really cold. It's been made worse because I've got a coffee. It's really nice and toasty. It's like perfect right now. It's been that. That's more like it. That's much more like it. So that pretty much went all the way around. So what I want to now do is test that a few more times just to make sure that the angle is changes. I've got a king, a joker and an ace. What's free? And as I said, it's like there's such a small fucking chance of it. I like how good the shuffling is because it's actually random. It's not like bullshit random, but it's so annoying. So that I want to... That's good. This feels like it's got enough of a range that could where you actually won't know what the outcome is. So the only other bit outside of that then that I now need to do is get the rotation, which is Z, which I can use a quantanium or whatever it is to be able to work that one out, and just compare that with what angle would make sense, because here it's always going to be plus or minus. See that? Yeah. So I've got a decent range for the rotation. So the rotation's working perfectly how I want it to. Let me save this. The rotation's now working exactly as I want it to. Now I need to be able to take that rotation value. I think this is basically what I'm wanting based on what I already had. So effectively, what this is going to do is it's going to apply a velocity, then it's going to start a rotation. It's then going to check if the angular velocity is greater than 0.09. If it's greater than 0.09, it's just going to keep going, which matches what I already had on my previous code here, there. If so, stop. Right. So at that point, once it's gone there, it's then going to calculate the wheel. So it's then going to work out what the options of the degrees are. Again, that lines up with what I was already expecting. It calculates the degrees for each option, 360 divided by options. Which I think I don't have out there. And that angular velocity I can just take out, because that's in the rigid body, so I don't even need it in that, which is good. Then does the adjusted, which is the wheel body rotation, so the rotation that the actual wheel body's in, which will presumably that's going to return, assuming that I'm thinking right about this code. that's going to have, that's going to have X, Y, and Z, but it's going to have the quantanium, which is what we were talking about earlier, plus the offset degrees. This is not what I want, which is why I'm reading it, because actually the wheel value amounts going to be different. By default it was point and whatever.
Oh, that's annoying.
But for this, I actually don't want that.
Oh no.
What I want that to be, just for the purposes of testing, I'm just going to keep that as 1. I'll just keep that and keep that as a placeholder. Put that as a placeholder as well. Because if you've got it in 8 bits, I then need to take what I really want to do based on the adjusted rotation. I think it is using down here, because that is what this is. I think effectively that is what that was doing back down there. And it was the adjusted rotation. Hold on, what was the calculation again? That was the adjusted rotation divided by that plus 1 after that. Let me debug this. So it's, oh yeah. Go get on Right, okay, I've got ID. Good. Right, cool. So, all this one is cold because the window's been open. I'm still cold. Even You didn't give in. But I will get warmer. That's the difference. So let's click spin.
Yeah.
Just let's look down here and see what's. Take adult wheel functionality out now. Rotation. I do think I'm going to call it there for this bit though. Thank you. Take care. See you in a bit.